So as a 10-year-old, I was blown away by the first Fallout game. This game where like you could just explore anywhere and you'd get into like these crazy side quests. Like I know video games are all like that now where you get side quests and you can just go anywhere like The Witcher or the new Assassin's Creed games or whatever. Right? Zelda, all that.
America's dead.
If you guys have been fucking with me for a hot minute, you know one of my favorite video game series is Fallout. Now a bit of history there. Fallout 1 and 2 were one of the first RPGs I've ever played. I fucking love them. It was one of the first like turn-based, like open world sort of things that I've ever played in any video game. And this was way back when I was like a little shit. Okay. This was before I was a, fucking Viking yelling at people online and laughing when Israel gets bombed. But like way back in the day, I think I was, okay, let's look it up. When did Fallout 1 come out? That would have been 1997. Okay. So I was like 10 years old when this game came out, and it fucked my brain in the ass. Fucked my brain in the ass. I don't know if that works. Yeah, because like brains don't have that. Okay. Sorry. You guys are going to have to put up with the neurodivergent shit. I'm sorry. It's just part of me. It's part of who I am. Yeah, exactly. Old man yells at moon. Old man yells at the bourgeoisie. That should have been the name of this fucking podcast. I digress. So as a 10-year-old, I was blown away by the first Fallout game. This game where like you could just explore anywhere and you'd get into like these crazy side quests. Like I know video games are all like that now where you get side quests and you can just go anywhere like The Witcher or the new Assassin's Creed games or whatever. Right? Zelda, all that. We're just used to that now. But back in my day, that was fucking crazy. Because I was just used to the normal linear level 1, level 2, level 3 shit like that. The first Fallout game blew my mind, and the second Fallout game to this day I will argue is one of the greatest role-playing games of all time. It was out fucking standing. But a crazy thing was with Fallout lore, I started to notice over the last 10 years that there's a lot of weird similarities between the Fallout lore and what's going on lately. And so I want to give a shout out to a video that I came across just today that I think we'll all really enjoy. So we're going to watch it together. Kind of a mini watch party, if you will. And don't worry, I'll pause it a lot so I can yap. Because God knows what this show needs more of is me fucking yapping. I digress. Hold on. Oh, fuck me. I worked out today. This whole getting back in shape after being super skinny thing I don't recommend it. It sucks. And you're sore a shitload. But regardless. Rick, you are correct. Fallout feels like predictive programming at this point. Because essentially what happens in Fallout is there's a conflict. I mean, there's a bunch of shit that's just crazy. America annexes Canada. Again, nuts, because Trump was talking about, like, you know, annexing Canada essentially. There's a conflict with China bordering on Alaska. That was also news that happened at some point. Yeah, just the similarities are very, very fucking weird. There's a conflict in the Middle East over oil. Like, it's weird. It's weird. Anyway. Give me 1 sec here. Is this charged? Okay. I think that's charged, so I gotta charge this now. Charge all the things. We're gonna watch this together. Your recent stream inspired me to watch Superman. I bought tickets yesterday. Dude, I'm so happy to hear that, and I swear to God, you will not be fucking disappointed. I promise you that. The new Superman is the penultimate fuck Israel the movie. And there's like, okay, the biggest thing, there's a point in, oh my God, yes. I'm not going to spoil anything. I hope you enjoy the fuck out of it, Steffi, for real. Definitely yay. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just saying there's a point in the movie where there's a bunch of monkeys that have like caps on their heads and they're like furiously typing into the computer. I'll just leave it at that. It's fucking perfect. So, without further ado, though, let's look at how Fallout predicted late-stage capitalism. This is a video, going to give full credit, by Aaron X here. I'm going to subscribe. Please subscribe to Aaron X. Does good content. This video was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And we're going to watch it together. I'll put on my listening hat. Don't worry, buddy. Like I said, no spoilers. Just go fucking see it. Thank you. Yes, CBC voter. Just go see it. Just go see it. You will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed in seeing Fuck Israel Man, which is what I'm going to call the movie now. It's not Superman. It's Fuck Israel Man. Anyway, let's watch how Fallout predicted late-stage capitalism.
You may think Fallout's exaggerating, but it's just America with extra radiation. It feels like a parody until you realize it's mocking the world you live in, a world sold on the idea of endless prosperity only to be burned down by its own greed. The world of Fallout takes place in an alternate history where the fusion-powered technology led to a very different future, one where the American dream promised us everything and in the end it took it all away. Fusion didn't just change the way that people lived, it transformed the entire world. It became the most valuable resource, shaping everything from politics to war. But with all this futuristic tech, the world of Fallout still feels stuck in the 1950s, simply because in this universe, America never experienced the cultural revolutions of the 60s and the 70s. No civil rights movements, no anti-war protests, and no counterculture. It just never happened. Instead, people clung to that good old post-World War II optimism. Shiny cars, happy families, and patriotic slogans that hid a darker truth underneath. People went on with their lives, buying gadgets, smiling, and tending to their gardens, while the government ran things from the the background, tightening their control on people's lives every single day. This shiny, perfect world of progress is a sharp contrast to everything around it slowly falling apart. By 2066, the world was teetering on the edge. China, running out of oil, invaded Alaska, and the US, fearing the worst, annexed Canada to secure vital resources to make up for what they lost. They didn't just send in regular troops, they unleashed power armor, fusion-powered tanks, and marched right through Canada to secure their supply lines. And by now, the Cold War was in full swing. Fallout makes that clear. It is not just a hint. You're dropped right in the center of it. Soldiers are marching through quiet neighborhoods, food rationing and civil defense drills are happening. The signs are all there. As things got more chaotic, the US government began to close in tighter. Borders were sealed, surveillance became the norm, and anyone who disagreed with the government was labeled un-American. Fear became a tool, a way to promise safety, comfort, and survival, but only for a price. And that's exactly where Vault-Tec saw their golden opportunity. With their massive funding and government contracts, they started pitching underground vaults as salvation. Just like Cold War-era defense companies, Vault-Tec cashed in on fear, pretending to protect the future while quietly working behind closed doors to make sure that they controlled it.
We have over 100 vaults spread across America. Enough for each of you to claim several, where you can play out your own ideas for how to create the perfect conditions for humanity, whatever you want to do. No one needs to know.
By the 2070s, American democracy was a shell of its former self. Corporations were no longer just influencing the government, they had practically become the government, tugging and pulling the strings on their puppet politicians. Vault-Tec was right in the middle of the paranoia and chaos, helping to perpetuate a lie that sealed civilization's fate. The worst part is that Vault-Tec hasn't even done its worst yet. There's a theory that's been whispered through forums and fan threads for years that has all been but confirmed by the Fallout TV show, that the apocalypse wasn't just expected, but that it was engineered.
But we're talking about making a significant investment based on a hypothetical. How can you guarantee results?
By dropping the bomb ourselves.
Vault-Tec and the government may have pulled the trigger themselves just to make sure they'd be the only ones left standing. And if that is true, it changes everything. When Vault-Tec first showed up, their pitch almost sounded noble, to protect the American people in case the worst happens. Yet it didn't really take long for those good intentions to get buried underneath piles of cash and the juicy government contracts. Once they got a taste of that sweet federal funding, they realized something. Nuclear war was not just a threat. It was a business opportunity. People were lining up to pay thousands for a spot underground, not just because the bombs had dropped, but simply because they might. Money was just the beginning. The real jackpot came once Vault-Tec understood the kind of power that they had, not just to survive the apocalypse, but to reshape what came after it. They didn't want to just save people, they wanted to study them, control them, turn their vaults into a massive social experiment to test which version of humanity was worth rebuilding in their vision. And the scariest part, they weren't open about any of it. Vault-Tec didn't operate like a Saturday morning cartoon villain with an evil laugh and a master plan. They were much worse. They smiled at you, thanked you for your cooperation, and then walked you straight into the experiment with a clipboard in their hand and a bounce in their step. It's what happens when capitalism, paranoia, and unchecked authority are sealed together behind a blast door for centuries. Robco, another tech giant in the Fallout universe, also had its robotic fingers in just about every corner of society. They made the Mr. Handy robots, those overly polite floating assistants that you can't decide whether you love or hate, and the Securitrons, the mechanical peacekeepers patrolling the strip armed to the teeth. Just like Vault-Tec, Robco blurred the line between convenience and control. Their machines were everywhere, in homes, on the streets, and even enforcing curfews. They weren't just helpful tools, they were reminders of who was really watching. Even the Pip-Boy, the trusty little wrist computer that you carry around in every single Fallout game, was made by Robco. It tracks your health.
Pip-Boy. Pip-Boy. Think about wearables. Think about your phones. Okay? Think about how they're programming you to have a device that you rely on for everything you fucking do. Think about that.
Your gear and your surroundings, and maybe a little more than you'd like. It's not just a survival tool, it's surveillance that you can't take off. All of this leads back to Mr. House, the brilliant reclusive founder of Robco. He built his empire on the idea that the future could be better, so long as he was the one controlling it.
Vegas always was one of a kind. What you see down on the Strip is just a fraction of the city's former glory, and yet, more than an echo, I preserved its spirit.
Vault-Tec might have sealed you in a vault, but Robco made sure you were still being watched long after the world ended. And that's the common thread between all these corporations. They're not just products of the pre-war world, they define it. They're the perfect embodiment of 1950s corporate patriotism, a smiling salesman promising safety and order while slipping something sinister into the fine print. You don't need to look hard to see that Fallout is absolutely drenched in propaganda. It's not subtle, and it's definitely not supposed to be. From the moment you load into any of the games, you're hit with the iconic grinning Vault Boy, patriotic slogans, and upbeat jingles that just feel a little too cheerful for the end of the world. Vault-Tec's whole aesthetic pulls straight from mid-20th century wartime marketing. Think those Uncle Sam posters with the finger pointing and all, except now, instead of enlisting you in the army, they're convincing you to march into an underground coffin. It's war marketing rebranded as peace of mind. Vault-Tec isn't even the only company trying to profit off of this nuclear fear either. Companies like Pulowski Preservation tried to cash in on the same fear, building their own miniature nuclear protection shelters. But just like everything else sold under the banner of safety, none of them actually worked. These smiling faces and catchy slogans weren't just about keeping people safe, they were about keeping people in line. The entire brand of Vault-Tec was built on selling obedience as optimism. They would always tell you, trust us, we're the good guys. And once that trust was bought, it was turned around and sold. And after that, everything else was fair game. But propaganda didn't just stop at Vault-Tec's doorstep. Take Nuka-Cola for example. The name alone is a dead giveaway, a direct nod to Coca-Cola, which during the Cold War was far more than just a drink. It was a cultural weapon. Presidents would use it for diplomacy, soldiers drank it overseas. It was marketed as the American way, fizzy freedom capped in a bottle. Fallout takes the idea and it cranks that to 11. Nuka-Cola is not just a beverage anymore, it's a brand empire. There are theme parks, factory tours, collectibles, and even an entire DLC dedicated to it. It's colorful, patriotic, radioactive, and entirely everywhere. But this isn't just satire, it's critique, it's mockery even. Fallout uses Nuka-Cola to reflect on how a consumer product can become a complete part of national identity, how sugar, style, and slogans can be used to distract people from the poison underneath. And once you start seeing those connections, they're everywhere. Almost every piece of media in Fallout is a warped reflection of something real. Pip-Boy games like Red Menace mock Cold War era scare tactics. The term Red Menace itself was used to fuel anti-communist fear in the US, and Fallout turns it into a goofy Donkey Kong knockoff, which somehow makes it feel more unsettling. Radio stations warn about spies in your neighborhood, community watch programs proudly root out un-American and fat.
Also, if you played the Fallout series, you'll be aware of Liberty Prime, which is a giant robot that literally has like communist derangement syndrome. To the point where he does a hilarious line in Fallout 4 where he's like scanning the surface of like an underground base that you're trying to invade. And he's like, I detect sand, gravel, and communism. Like, people need to understand, Fallout is literally the perfect critique of everything America. Especially the like obsession with like anti-communism, like Red Scare everything. So
fascist behavior, it's all a twisted echo of mid-century hysteria. Exaggerated, yes, but never far from the truth. Even the Vault-Tec cartoon reels, like the Your Special series, play a major part in this. They present horrifying scenarios with jazz music and smiling narration.
Be sure to know your limits, or you may find it challenging to escape from hazardous scenarios.
It's Bugs Bunny meets psychological conditioning. At first glance, you might laugh. It's satire. It's dark humor. But underneath that is a much more serious question. One that maybe all of us have asked before, but one that Fallout certainly does keep asking. What if the American dream was always a marketing campaign? What if all those promises, the family, the picket fence, the opportunity, were never about freedom but just about control? What if they were designed to keep people hopeful enough to stay quiet and scared enough to never ask who's really benefiting? Because Fallout doesn't just aim at the corrupt corporations, it goes deeper, much deeper. It questions the foundation that those corporations were built on. It asks whether the whole system, the one we're told to believe in, was always meant to serve someone else. wants. Look at Mr. House yet again. He's not rebuilding America because he believes in it, he's rebuilding it so that he can run it. House preserved his wealth, his mind, and his power, not for the greater good, but to reshape the world in his image. He's a billionaire turned technocrat who sees democracy as liability and survival as a brand. To him, the American dream is just another tool, proving that even after the world burns.
He's a billionaire turned technocrat. Are you guys starting to get it?